Hey, what's up everybody, Uncle Unit here with a brand new Resident Evil Files video. Today we're going to be taking another look at some of the scariest monsters of Resident Evil. For this list I've included some classic B.O.Ws along with some more overlooked ones. This video is a continuation of the collaboration I did with Nightmare Expo a while back. If you missed out on that, I'll leave a link in the description. Also be sure to stay tuned after the countdown for a quick update. We have once again stepped into a world of survival horror. Good luck. Number 10. Tyrant, T002 model. We begin with the original baddie, the ultimate life form. The T002 is the evolved form of the T001. Please forgive the Pokemon terminology there. I didn't know how else to put it. While zombies are the result of spontaneous viral infection, tyrants are the result of procedurally infecting test subjects with the T-virus. The desired goal of the Tyrant project was to create humanoid bioweapons with the capabilities to follow commands. The first prototype of Tyrant suffered from numerous adverse side effects, and although it was a formidable B.O.W, its diminished intelligence held back its full potential. The T002 is the improved upon form of its predecessor. However, the finalization of this creature was never fully carried out, due to the outbreak in the Arklay laboratory. Albert Wesker was given orders to destroy the Tyrant during his investigation with STARS, but instead he decides to release it, and we all know how that ended. The success of the T002 was short-lived. However, the data collected from this creature's development would eventually yield stronger Tyrant forms, such as the Hypnos T-type and Nemesis. This guy will always be a classic Resident Evil monster. Whenever you're playing through the original Resident Evil or its remake, you know in the back of your mind that eventually you'll have to come face to face with the ultimate life form. Number 9. Ooze Rachel Foley. Rachel Foley was a federal agent working for the FBC and was sent to investigate the Queen Zenobia. Unfortunately, during her mission she becomes the victim of a B.O.W attack and is KIA. However, the T-Abyss virus on board the vessel reanimates and mutates her body into a terrifying ooze variant. Rachel is a lot stronger than the other ooze creatures that you'll encounter, and is incredibly resilient to gunfire. She also has the ability to speak, and will occasionally taunt you with her creepy-ass voice. She'll even throw in some unsettling laughter and heavy breathing. It's the stuff of nightmares.
Found you, Raymond. Found you. It hurts. It hurts. So painful. Why?
Rachel is encountered numerous times throughout Resident Evil Revelations, and you'll never be able to completely destroy her. You can put her down with enough bullets, but she'll always end up coming back somehow. What brought about her unique transformation can only be speculated. Rachel's mutation may share some similarities with another ooze variant known as Skagdead. Skagdead are the result of an infected human host with a very high resistance to the T-Abyss virus. Although Rachel's appearance differs from a Skagdead, I think we can conclude that her transformation process followed a similar pattern, which may explain why she's able to take a lot more damage than the average ooze creature. It is unfortunate what happened to Rachel, but Jesus Christ, get the hell away from me! Thankfully, Rachel was presumably destroyed when the Queen Zenobia exploded. Presumably destroyed. Number 8. Jack Norman, Ultimate Abyss.
Norman, stop! Morgan isn't here!
It's no use. He's gone over the edge.
Dr. Jack Norman was the leader of the terror organization known as Vol.2. His organization was secretly financed by the head of the FBC, Morgan Lansdale, who provided him with the T-Abyss virus to disperse in the city of Terra Grigia. Norman's alliance with Lansdale eventually went south, leaving both he and his group trapped in the sinking Queen Dido shortly after the attack on Terra Grigia. Norman survived in the unflooded area of the ship. When the BSAA agents Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine eventually encounter Dr. Norman, he is delirious, driven mad by the loss of his fellow Veltro members and his desire for revenge against Lansdale. He then ingests the T-Abyss virus. The virus mutates him into a powerful creature known as the Ultimate Abyss. His thirst for revenge aided this transformation. The monster uses its powerful claw to attack. It has a large singular eye that can emit blinding flashes of light and assault its target's visual cortex, making it seem that it could duplicate itself or teleport. However, its real form will exude a purple smoke from its body when casting these illusions. Its weak points are its heart, which gets periodically exposed, and a mass of glowing tissue located on its back. I feel like this character in general shares a lot of similarities with Dr. William Birkin. Where Birkin was ultimately a victim of his own ambition, Norman was the victim of his own insanity. I don't imagine most people would feel sorry for this guy. He was literally a nutcase that led a terror organization responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people and just got screwed over by an even bigger jackass. But the monster he turns into is admittedly pretty badass, and is more than a worthy adversary. Number 7. Rascal Apenye.
Guess that's why the whole street is on lockdown. The president's trying to keep it out.
Well, this one is different.
That's a new trick.
Despite the lack of positive reception of Resident Evil 6, I think we can all agree that the C virus has yielded some pretty incredible B.O.Ws. Among these creations is the Rascal Apenye. Very little is known regarding the development of this creature. However, the terrorist organization Neo Umbrella found a way to weaponize them. The following is a memo written by a Neo Umbrella researcher. We've had a very irregular mutation occur in some of our subjects. The resulting creature is able to separate parts of its own body and send them after its victim. Its body parts seem to have a mind of their own as they search and attack, but once they return to the main body, they all go back to working as one. We still have a lot to learn about this mutation, but it will most certainly be an effective weapon in the field. This B.O.W. has a humanoid appearance. It has no visual, olfactory, or auditory features, at least none that can be easily identified. As stated in the memo, if this creature takes damage resulting in any of its limbs being severed, the separated parts can continue to function independently and will continue to engage its target. Gunfire can only incapacitate them for a short period of time before they become active again. The only way to kill them is to completely destroy its body until there is absolutely nothing left. This monster is a real pain in the ass to deal with, especially when you're trying to solve puzzles and collect items. And of course, blowing them to pieces won't work because the pieces will get up and come after you too. Number 6. B.O.W. Continuing with Resident Evil 6 and the C virus, we had the B.O.W. The terrorist organization known as Neo Umbrella was behind the development of this B.O.W. Its name is derived from the Serbo-Croatian word for murder. This creature is the primeape of B.O.Ws. There goes those Pokemon analogies again. It's a furious, insane, nearly unstoppable force, and if it spots you, you better be ready to run your ass off, because this thing wants nothing more than to split you in half. This B.O.W. was deployed during the bio attack in Lanxiang, China. Due to its insane nature, Neo Umbrella was unable to give it orders to target specific individuals, so it ended up running wild in the contaminated city. The B.O.W. appears to be a disfigured humanoid with numerous lacerations seen all over its body. Its right arm is a twisted organic saw-like weapon, capable of tearing its victims to pieces. This monster also has regenerative abilities. Strangely, its vital organs are located in its chainsaw arm. Targeting these organs will temporarily stun the creature, but nothing short of complete destruction will stop it. I see a potential marketing gimmick for these things. You have watchdogs and they're pretty effective, but if you have an B.O.W. in your front yard, nobody, and I mean nobody, will think about robbing your house. Number 5. Astana. Have you ever had that creepy grade school stalker who absolutely wouldn't stop creeping you out and just keeps endlessly bothering you day after day, no matter what you said or did? Well, imagine if that stalker was 10 feet tall, had muscles the size of bridge pillars, and an interchangeable weaponized metal arm. I doubt your school principal could really help you out with that one. The Astana was created by Carla Rademes of Neo Umbrella. Its name comes from the Serbian word for revolution. It was specifically designed to hunt down Jake Muller during the events of Resident Evil 6. It's considered to be one of the most intelligent and resilient B.O.Ws to ever be produced. As mentioned earlier, it has a surgically attached metal arm with a variety of interchangeable weapons and tools, and like with our last two entries, Astana is able to regenerate after damage. It's also incredibly strong and fast, ignoring most gunfire. In addition to its prosthetic arm, it also produces small insect B.O.Ws called Oko from within its own body, and dispenses them from its back. The Oko will alert it to any potential targets. This B.O.W. does not appear to have any ties to the Tyrant program. However, everything that the Tyrant program strived for is embodied by this creature, a truly unstoppable, obedient killing machine. Unless, of course, you're Jake Muller, who can apparently fistfight this thing one-on-one. So ridiculous. Number 4. Alex Wesker.
So you finally came. I knew you would.
Bearing the name Wesker comes with two things: a complex backstory involving the Umbrella Corporation, and a personality that is the perfect storm of insanity and intellectual brilliance, the necessary ingredients of any antagonist in this franchise, it would seem. Alex was a candidate for Project W, a eugenics program pioneered by Oswald E. Spencer. The goal of this program was to develop an advanced race of human beings. 13 children were selected and received a variant of the progenitor virus. Only 2 managed to survive the experiment. Alex and her brother Albert Wesker went on to become valued assets working for Spencer's Umbrella Corporation. After the fall of Umbrella, Alex gained control of Sushest-Voveni Island, a former Soviet Union province where she established a base of operations. Alex pursued research into transferring her own consciousness into other host bodies. believing that this was the key to achieving immortality. In the events of Resident Evil Revelations 2, Alex attempted to transfer her own consciousness into a young girl named Natalia Corda, though her attempts were only partially successful. After her plans were ultimately sabotaged by Claire Redfield and Moira Burton, she held a gun to her head and quite literally blew her own brains out.
My brother's escape was death. And soon, it will be mine as well. I will share in his fate, and then I will surpass him.
What are you trying to do?
Escape.
But this would not be the end. Alex survived her suicide attempt due to the sudden mutation of T-Phobos within her body, transforming her into a warped and disfigured creature. Her personality would also become noticeably more deranged than it was as a human. 6 months after her suicide attempt, she would continue to pursue Natalia, who at this point had been discovered by Barry Burton on the island. During her final confrontation, Alex injects herself with the Ouroboros virus, transforming her into an even more hideous monstrosity. Her limbs and spinal column become elongated. Her hands and feet are reconfigured to allow her to move more easily in a quadrupedal form. She is also granted incredible strength and is resilient to gunfire. Although the character of Alex is often overshadowed by the legacy of her brother Albert Wesker, she is still very terrifying in her own right. Please note that there is a lot more to this character's backstory than what is presented in this video. But she would eventually join her brother in death. And we're still left wondering, were those experiments conducted on Natalia a complete failure? Number 3. Jack Baker.
Heck of a thing, and this sure shit beats the hell out of dying. My little girl has given us a gift, and this gift is with me always.
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard breathed new life back into the series, bringing back the survival horror elements from the earlier games. The Baker family are the victims of an experimental bioweapon named Evelyn, who has the ability to control anyone she comes into contact with. The Bakers were forced to become Evelyn's surrogate family. She granted them enhanced strength, superhuman durability, and regenerative healing. Along with their new mutations, the Bakers' personalities were also corrupted by Evelyn's influence. They became deranged versions of their former selves with no trace of morality, and would act as sadistic acolytes to Evelyn's naive demands. Jack Baker was the husband of Marguerite Baker, and the father to Zoe and Lucas Baker. When Evelyn decided that she wanted to expand her family, she would have the Bakers kidnap people in the Dulvey, Louisiana area. After she would deem an abductee unfit to be a part of her family, Jack would be in charge of killing and skinning them, while his wife would use their organs as food. A scenario reminiscent of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Jack will pursue you as you make your way through the Baker's residence. He will catch you off guard by sneaking up on you when you least expect it. After you defeat Jack's human form by sawing him in half, this will catalyze a tremendous mutation to the remainder of his body, changing him into a massive mold creature with a contorted frame. After a long battle with this gigantic abomination, you'll have to inject him with a D-series serum, which will cause his body to calcify and fall apart. But even after this, Jack is not finished. Amazingly, a part of Jack somehow survived. Evelyn's transformation had altered Jack's cells to such an extent that even the D-series serum couldn't destroy him entirely. He would eventually reform as a tall, imposing humanoid creature, free from Evelyn's control, violently attacking anyone within his sight. Jack would finally be put to rest permanently at the hands of his brother Joe. The story of Jack Baker and his family is one of tragedy. Yes, they were a bunch of lunatic cannibals who would bash your head in and scoop out your organs with a wooden spoon, but you have to take into account that they were once normal people whose lives were destroyed by a bratty, deranged bioexperiment. that a bunch of dumbasses couldn't keep contained. You wouldn't be crazy if you felt a little sympathy for them. Number 2. Tyrant T-103. With the recent remake of Resident Evil 2, came the rebirth of one of the most terrifying B.O.Ws in the franchise. During the 1998 outbreak in Raccoon City, the Umbrella Corporation deployed the Tyrant T-103 to eliminate any surviving RPD officers, and to retrieve the G-Virus. The T-103 that was dispatched is better known by his nickname, Mr. X. Mr. X appears as a large humanoid figure that stands at nearly 8 feet tall, and wears a dark trench coat that is lined with bulletproof material to deflect gunfire. It will relentlessly stalk players throughout the Raccoon City Police Department. His thunderous footsteps will warn you of his presence. A certain amount of bullets will put him down temporarily, but it's recommended that you flee the area to conserve ammunition. Like with most high-powered B.O.Ws, the T-103 will mutate into a stronger form after sustaining significant damage. The trench coats they wear to protect them also act as a power limiter to prevent the Tyrant from spontaneously mutating into their super forms. If the coat is somehow destroyed, it will prompt the transformation. In the original Resident Evil 2, Mr. X falls into a vat of molten lava, disintegrating his power limiter, causing him to mutate into a super Tyrant form. In this form, the Tyrant's muscle mass increases. Rock-hard tissue will form on its torso. Its hands expand into a series of long, sharp claws for ripping its targets to shreds. Gunfire has no effect on the Super Tyrant. Only by obtaining an RPG and blasting it to smithereens can you defeat it. In the Resident Evil 2 remake, the Super Tyrant mutation does not appear to be as extreme as in the original. Only one of its arms has been altered, and its entire lower half appears the same as it was in its original form. Possibly the most noticeable change is that the protective black carapace does not develop on its torso or arms, and its heart is now visible at the center of its chest. I consider Mr. X to be the Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers of Resident Evil. Knowing that he's lurking nearby, just waiting to pop your head like a grapefruit is a truly unnerving experience. My advice to any newcomers is to run. Run your ass off. Number 1. Nemesis.
You're saved. Down here!
It's finally over. Huh?
When Volume 1 of this series first debuted on my Unit 522 channel, it was met with mostly positive reception. However, there was one complaint that was shared among many of the viewers, and I quote, "Where the fuck is Nemesis?" End quote. Alright guys, I hear ya. That was my bad. Nemesis is an enhanced Tyrant class B.O.W, and is the main antagonist in Resident Evil 3. The Umbrella Corporation created Nemesis to enhance Tyrant intelligence, so that they would be able to comprehend complex orders and wield weaponry. Its creation involved inserting an NEA parasite into the body of a T-103 Tyrant. The parasite would cause further mutation of the body, resulting in increased body mass, and the growth of tentacle-like appendages in its body. Like the previously mentioned Mr. X, Nemesis was deployed in the Raccoon City incident, with orders to hunt and kill any last remaining members of STARS. In addition to its superior strength, Nemesis also utilizes its intelligence, allowing it to wield various weapons such as a rocket launcher or a Gatling gun. Its tentacles can also be used to choke, whip, or even impale its victims. And when it does spot a member of STARS, it will say a single word that will forever burn itself into your head. Like with the T-103, if Nemesis loses its power limiter coat, it will begin to undergo severe mutation. Initially, This will result in the growth of more tentacles and bony spikes across its back. But as it sustains more damage, the mutations will result in more extreme transformations. Its final form is a horrific quadruped mass of tentacles and boiled flesh, with a maw filled with titanic spiked teeth. It expels acidic toxins from its tentacles as it crawls towards its target. This form is easier to maneuver around, as its massive size will slow it down significantly. I honestly don't have a good excuse for leaving this guy off my original video. I guess I was trying to profile more lesser known B.O.Ws in Volume 1, but that's no excuse for leaving this guy out. I can only hope with the overwhelming success of the RE2 remake that we'll eventually get to see the return of one of Resident Evil's most iconic B.O.Ws. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. So for those of you who have followed me for a while will probably notice that a lot of the old Resident Evil file videos are gone. To make a long story short, that particular format didn't really work for me. I found it kind of redundant reading out files from the video games, and ultimately, I felt that they really weren't impactful enough for me. So moving forward, I decided that I'll continue the Resident Evil file series with scripted countdowns like this one. I feel that I'm able to express my thoughts better this way, and overall, they just make for better videos. I'm still brainstorming some new ideas regarding this series, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.